Hey guys, and welcome to Sounds Like NYC, the only podcast dedicated to spotlighting New York City talent. On this episode, we have William. How would you describe yourself, William?
An autodidactic, self-diagnosed, compulsive creative
Those
who
are some big
just
words.
Yeah, those
needs
are
to
some really
keep
big
it.
words.
Yeah, I'm a word nerd too. I am a word nerd. But yeah, I just, I'm a musician and an artist, and I just love doing it. Like, just keep busy to stave off the depression, basically.
Yep. Yep, I
and,
definitely get that. I definitely get that.
and you can find them on Instagram at SWIVS
Underscore.
What is
Correct.
SWIVS?
Yeah, it's Swivs underscore on Instagram is where I'm, social. That's the social media outlet that I prefer. So yeah, I'm on there, and I make a lot of music under the moniker Swivs as well, and that's available at swivs.bandcamp and all that stuff. Um, but yeah, a variety of projects over the years.
Hmm.
I've been most recently, I guess I toured with this gentleman named Charles Bradley and his Extraordinaires. I was a member of his touring band, and he's a close family friend. He's a soul singer on the Daptone label out of Brooklyn, New York. And, RIP, we all miss him terribly. And my dad has a band called the Shaladas, which is a very common mispronunciation of my last name, which is Shalda.
Oh,
So
okay.
all growing up, we used to get sales calls all the time, and they would always, butcher the name. Can we talk to Mr. Shalada? Can we talk to Mr. Chalada? So it came time to name the band, and we're a doo-wop soul group. I was like, the Shaladas. That's what they've been calling us this whole time anyway. And it's got that doo-wop vibe.
Nice.
So that's also on the Dunham, which is like the subsidiary of Daptone. Which, are you guys familiar with the Daptone label out of Brooklyn, New York?
No, never heard of them.
Oh,
No.
you guys should check it out. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
lot of good stuff on that. There's Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings.
Mhm.
Hmm.
A lot of really good. When you listen to old soul records, if you're into that, and you would say, "Oh man, they just don't make them like they used to." Like Daptone, like in the late '90s, maybe even mid '90s, started making these records like they
Hmm.
used to. And you would hear the records like, "Oh man, that's." And they were the ones who behind the Amy Winehouse record,
Oh.
because with Mark Ronson heard what they were doing and was like, "Oh, I want you to do that with this singer I have," and then he gave it to. So that was it, like that. So Winehouse was basically Daptone, but
Wow.
Wow.
Didn't know that. Yeah.
So how many bands have you been a part of?
Worth mentioning.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
No, warts and all, everything.
Yeah.
All right. We'll get into it. I don't even care. We'll do it. Okay, so I was in this really crappy band. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that because maybe the members are listening. I should be kind of friends with them. We weren't crappy, but we were in a band called Pseudovision. That was my first band. I was like 15. We were it was like rap, rock type of thing. We had a song about a character on a show called Saved by the Bell named Kelly Kapowski.
That is the most 90s things I've heard in a long while.
That's my time, pretty much. Yeah, that
Yeah.
80s, 90s, that was me. So, and then there was a band called Three Steps Up, which would go on to play with these other bands called Jimmy Eat World and stuff like that. And
Oh.
we called it melodic hardcore. Somewhere along the line, it started to be called emo. Some people started calling it that. We would kind of split before that happened. So there was that, and then after that, there was a band called the Charade I was in, which was like a maximum R&B type of early Who type of act. And those cats are still around and playing. They play in a band called This Blue Falcon now, a few of them, and a couple of other acts, but the name escapes me. But then the Realistics, that was the band that I think you guys reached out to me through the Instagram
Yeah.
that I was doing for the Realistics. And that was a group in the late 90s, early aughts. We were part of integral in starting the scene that would go on to become best known for bands like The Strokes and the AAS and Interpol.
Hmm.
So we were kind of like the first wave of acts, along with bands like Radio 4 and Mooney Suzuki. Again, this is all like 20 years ago. I know I'm probably dating myself, but I appreciate your patience. You got these blank stares on your face.
No, 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 no,
I feel terrible, like,
no, no,
but
because
yeah.
we were like listening to the real Lixes before, and like, yeah, I mean, I really like it. Like, and like,
Or we're listening to
regardless,
Apartment 2.
Yeah, yeah, and it sounds like you guys sound really tight, really. Yeah, you guys sound like absolutely fantastic, and even kind of like more of your like modern music just sounds great. So like, I was like talking with David and just saying how much
I love
like
that
you.
title though. The greatest song ever written.
That was for search
Yeah,
engine purposes, but
yeah, yeah. No, but it's really cool because you seem to be able to like you have like a lot of different genres on your under your belt, it seems. So like, yeah, I really do genuinely enjoy your music. So
Mhm.
like,
thanks.
yeah, no, it's really great.
I mean,
Yeah.
being part of like so many bands, like what do you look for when joining one?
Interesting you should mention that. I have pretty much started every band I've been in. Pseudohoodlum, I mean, we were young, but yeah, not the charade though. That I was asked to join. But what I'm looking for, all right, let me think. No weak links. I know that's horrible to say, but at one point, that's where the realistics came about because
Mhm.
I met these other guys, and you always feel like when you're playing in a group, sometimes you know you got to play down to your weakest link. Like if
Right.
if your drummer is no good, then you kind of have to. Everyone has to match that because if everyone's like really good and you got somebody who needs work, I should say. So it becomes difficult, and time is of the essence. You kind of really need to get your stuff going fast. So that I guess that would be it. Like what I would be looking for in any group now would be members who are hardworking and diligent and don't get too messed up. Like don't get messed up to the point where you're messing up songs.
Mhm.
It's tough because talent and ambition very rarely go hand in hand. Like when something comes naturally to you and you don't have to work at it, like you guys are really good at like radio stuff, but and you're very engaging people. But see, you're putting yourselves out there. You're doing the podcast, but so
Right.
many people just sit home and they're like, yeah, I would be really good at that, but or I am really good at that, but I'm gonna wait for someone to ask me to be on a podcast, or
Hmm.
I'm gonna wait for someone to ask me to be on. And a lot of musicians are like, I'm gonna just, oh, someone will discover me or something. They don't put themselves out there. So I feel it's important to try to be both if you can.
Mhm.
At least one member of the group I think has to be that. Like we don't have a manager.
Yeah.
What's better, in your opinion,
How do
ambition or
you
talent?
ambition or talent? Huh. Well, I am an admirer of both. So I don't, in the entertainment industry, you
Hmm.
would hope that talent is king, right? I mean, talent should win, but we all know that that is really not the case. And across the board, it's about a lot of other things. And it's all the sinister stuff that you hear about. Like, in my experience, I've seen that happen. And sometimes it's worked in my favor, and I've totally been great about that, like nepotism and stuff like that. And
Right.
somebody, and they get you into the thing, or they get you on the thing, or something. And it's like because you knew them and you know that. But it stings a little when like there's cats behind you that are like, oh, that guy's a lot better than I am, but he didn't know the guy I knew. That's But there's kind of, I mean, that's across the board in life. You're gonna find that politics. It's all the same thing. It's just connections are key, and as much as talent will get you places, but I don't know if you're familiar with Lenny Kravitz.
Yeah, of
Hmm.
course.
Yeah, so I mean, he's all right, but for like, I felt when he came out, I was a little pissed. I don't know if you know this, but his parents and his mother was like tied to the industry, and he had an in, and he was,
Hmm.
come on, he's an amazingly looking dude. He looks
Hmm.
great, but his voice and his guitar, I mean, it wasn't all that great. And I thought for every him, there's a million other dudes who are more talented but just don't look like him
Hmm.
Hmm.
and don't have the connections,
Hmm.
because his voice, come on, like it
Hmm.
wasn't that great.
Yeah.
I mean, not he wasn't a vocalist. I shouldn't say that.
Yeah.
He didn't strike me as immediately as a vocalist. He just struck me as a model or an actor who just said, "Mommy, I want to be a." And his mother was on a show called The Jeffersons. I don't know if that's familiar.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, see, yeah. Well, like I feel like thankfully kind of like ever since he first got started in the industry that that kind of like glass stealing or that kind of like yeah, that glass ceiling in a sense has been broken, and now, definitely music is more of a meritocracy more than like ever before, because if you like generally make good music and have the drive, the ambition, and the know-how to market it properly,
Right.
I feel like you don't have to be kind of Selena Gomez or The Weeknd or Justin Bieber, kind of like a pretty face with a pretty voice. You could just
Hmm.
be you, and people, real recognizes real, that sort of thing. So I feel like,
Yeah, I mean, with the internet, everything sort of like moved on. Like, listen, if you got it and people like it, then I mean, there is no sort of gatekeeper anymore, right? I mean, I was listening to this dude on like some dude on TikTok got famous like, just out of nowhere for making like country songs or something.
mhm.
Like, and now he's playing on radios and stuff like that. So, like, I mean, I guess, like, what do you think about that?
Well, the concept of fame has changed since I was a kid. When I was a kid, like it was, you had TV and you had radio, and that was it. It was pre-internet. I was like an '80s kid, so I saw MTV, and I was like, I want to be that. I want to be on the radio because that's what you had to do, and I needed a music video, and that was what was going to happen. The internet, as you know, just with streaming music, kind of changed all that. So now I feel like fame is like you could be famous and make a living if that's what you aspire to do, if money is your aspiration, because it depends on what your end game is. But if you want to
Mhm.
make a living making music, you could probably be like famous among 300,000 people
Hmm.
that
No,
and
definitely.
most of the world will never have heard of you.
Right.
Mhm.
Like when I type into like famous birthdays today, like I don't recognize half the people because again, like you said, it's like TikTok famous, it's like YouTube famous, it's you're
Mhm.
famous over here. He's famous on an app I never even heard of. This
Hmm.
guy's
Mhm.
famous down I don't. People are everyone is famous. Is very Warholian. Like Andy
Mhm.
Warhol's. Everyone will get their 15 minutes of fame. Uh, is that famous quote? We're kind of there, and it's great for the people, and it's great for how it feels maybe to be famous. But like the it's like what are we looking at really? Like why do we want that? Why do we
Mhm.
Right.
and to
Yeah.
me, it's just some futile attempt, some futile grasp at immortality. It's like every artist's life is like an act of vandalism. Like how when you spread graffiti, it's like I'm putting my name here, like I was here, like this
Hmm.
was it, I was here, and that's all it is. I think is like I'm making stuff. I know for me, I'm making music like so that I know I'm very aware that like when I'm dead, when I'm gone from this universe, like this form and this body, like that there's something here in this dimension that I left
Mhm.
that's
Hmm.
cool, and that people will say, oh man, that guy was cool, and they might not even see it for 20 years till after I die. They might see it. I'm finding about artists all the time that have been dead for 20 years. I'm like, oh my god, this is beautiful, and that
Mhm.
and that and that's what I aspire to achieve, and it's more so than money. And I would, my dream as a child was to be famous because that was in my face, so I wouldn't mind fame. But
Mhm.
again, as we mentioned, like fame isn't what it was. It can be right now. This, you and us, me
Right.
Yeah.
doing this, with you. Like this is awesome to me. Thank you for having me. This is
Yeah,
great.
I
definitely. Yeah,
appreciate
of
it.
course, of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's very way. Yeah, you definitely got into the more philosophical end of like fame, but that's very important to I mean, talk about, because yeah, why do humans seek fame? And obviously, it's a philosophical question. It's more of just like a basic biological, sociological question and
Hmm.
stuff like that. But it is, yeah, like this current age of fame isn't something that we've seen before. So we're kind of like the first generation to like really
We're the guinea pigs.
experience internet fame and just like that whole phenomena. So like there's a lot of upsides, but there's also like tons of like downsides to it. And like, yeah, it's a messy world. It's a messy new type of age, type of era that we've like stumbled
Mhm.
upon into, I think.
I mean, and at the end of the day, if you ask me, I mean, it's just all, it really is because you love doing it. That's why I think
Yeah.
anyone does it. It should start there, right? Like
Definitely.
you start because you love to make music. You hit that chord, or you want to be an actor, and you get that applause for a second, and you're like, oh, I like this, and it gives you a good feeling. And then somewhere along there, you're just like, oh, they'll give me money for it.
Basically, yeah, basically.
and that that kind of it can ruin everything. But
Yeah.
I feel like yeah, you're right. To come down off that philosophical cloud, there is a realistic way to manage your business and
Hmm.
to monetize your art and to separate yourself and be like, all right, over here I'm the philosopher, and then over here I'm all business.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And you got to take care of number one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely,
I
definitely.
think right now might be a good time to sort of plug in some of his music, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, are there any songs specifically that you want us to show your artist, or like a song in particular that you like really think, you want like other people to, see?
Of my songs.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think the two off the last record that I did called the greatest song ever written by Swift, which it is, in fact.
I like it. I like it. Yeah.
Such a
And
good
the one
title.
following that, which is called Stand to Gain, which is, just expresses my disdain for those two songs kind of wrap up everything that we've just spoken about and
Hmm.
Hmm.
about how I feel about, what had been going on. It was released in 2018. But as of yet, that's what's up. I have a whole new thing coming out this year, a whole new guy. So that deep pop music and that lo-fi stuff, I'm gonna put to the back burner for a second to get back to the rock and roll roots of the realistics and stuff like that. So that's the record. I have a 45 coming out on vinyl
Nice.
this summer. So it's
Cool.
gonna be Billy Gibbs, Baby I'm Your Clown is a single. Keep an eye out for that, or ear out for it, rather. But as far as that stuff goes, yeah, those two songs that I mentioned.
Okay, let's
Play
play
it.
them right now.
I'll tell you a secret, I've been in the future, and nobody remembers you either. Present endeavors, your greatest achievements, they all just washed away in the ether. And the billions of people, mothers and fathers, sons and daughters all disappeared. I'll tell you a secret, I've been in the future, and nobody
Hey guys, welcome back to this episode of Sounds Like NYC News. And we
Excuse
just,
me.
oh my, keep on doing that. So we have like a news, kind of like thing that we do on the side. So I don't know for some reason. Anyway, so hey guys, welcome back to this episode of Sounds Like NYC. And we've just finished listening to the greatest song ever written and Stand to Gain. But obviously, this is a podcast about artists and their relationship with NYC. So tell us a bit about kind of like how like growing up in New York City and just like
He didn't grow up in New York City. He grew up in Staten Island.
But this
It's an
does,
island in of itself.
man, this he's giving you that look, man. No, it's if you'll, I'll allow it. I'll allow it. Growing up in Staten Island is we were 25 minutes away from the city, and I would get beat up walking to the train station because I had like green hair and I'd be like wearing my Doc Martens and stuff. And the kids out there didn't understand that. It was dangerous just to get to the train, and they would all be hanging out at the train station. I'm like, you're 30 minutes away from the coolest city in the world, and you want to hang out at the train station? Anyway, so that's what it was. So if you can imagine, there's like a small group of people on Staten Island, always have been and still is, this really fantastic collective of artists and musicians that are just tucked away, all over, concentrated a bit towards, the North Shore because it's closer to the city. But to be that close to New York, but also be so removed,
Yeah.
it's an interesting dynamic because you're far enough away not to get. You must feel it you feel like a drop in the ocean when you're trying to do anything on an entertainment level. There's so many bands, everybody goes there, but so you would go there, but then you'd come across the bridge or get on the boat and come back, and you'd have your own little world. And so you would take it, you would ingest all that, and you would share that stuff in a very like, I don't know, in a safe little environment where you could just discuss it with your friends and like not feel like you were going to be judged by that kid who what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
So in that respect, Staten Island was great, and it
Yeah.
is great. But New York City, my experience with New York City was money rules everything, and
Mm.
that's just a personal thing. But if you're amazing, it doesn't matter if the other people have more money. If they have more money than you, you're gonna get steamrolled. And if
Mhm.
they have the money, they're gonna get the press. They're gonna get, and that's it. And so that's only if you guys are like doing, if there's, I don't even know if it's like that anymore. What's the vibe out in New York City? I should ask you.
Right
Uh,
now, it's with the pandemic, it's like kind of quiet.
but
I
before
mean,
that, is there a scene of any kind? Is there like a group of bands or people, DJs, anything? What's
I
going
mean, yeah, for sure. With the people that we've been talking to over, all this time, yeah, we've been talking with everybody about how things were before, Corona came and stuff like that.
right,
Like everybody was like doing their own thing. Like most of the people that we like talked to so far, they were either like performing or like working with like creatives in the city specifically. So I think it's always been there, but obviously Corona kind of brought everything to a stop. But I think, yeah, New York City's New York City. So art is always going to be one of the most important things here, whether it's people making it or whether it's people coming here for it. So like I don't think, that aspect has changed. And like I said before, because of the internet, things have become much more ele- egalitarian. E- elect- how do you pronounce that word?
I don't know big words.
Have become more leveled between those who have money and those who don't, because at the end of the day you can have all the money in the world.
Egalitarian.
Yeah, egalitarian.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
See,
because you could
I'm
have all
smart.
the, yeah, you could have like all the money in the world, but if you don't have a personality that attracts people, I feel like these days that you won't get the following, or get like a lasting following that will like that has like a good return of investment on investment, whatever you say. Those are big words. Yeah.
If you don't mind, let me ask you a few questions. Like, what do you enjoy? What would you like to see happen for music in general? Aside from the obvious, I want venues to open again. I want the pandemic to be over. But I mean, just is there anything that you feel should like musically should happen, or that you sense is happening?
Yeah. I mean, what do you think, David?
I mean, I would just like to see more of a connection from artist to listener. I think with social media, that's becoming more and more of a likelihood. With something like Instagram Live. I mean, Instagram Live isn't really about just putting out your music. It's more about connecting with the people who are like listening to you like at the moment. You know what I mean? I mean that's what I would like to see more.
More in
Yeah.
stuff. Okay.
Mm.
I'm with you on that, but I gotta tell you, like when you get to a certain level, you
It's
can't
just
really
tough. Yeah.
tough to engage people. They'll take it a little too. Sometimes they take it too far. I've had it happen to me a few times, and I'm just me, and I've had it happen a couple of times where I've had to back off because I feel like I've been too nice to somebody, and they took it like a little more than I
Hmm.
wanted them to, and they thought it meant like we were best friends or something,
Yeah.
and or that I was maybe interested in them or something, and that was not the case, and I'm just so it's always been
And then and then that in itself is like also like tough to scale, right? Because at a certain point, it's just like how can you get in touch with everybody?
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Hmm. I think this is going to be a big consequence of like, I think this is going to be like a big consequence of like, Corona, but just more support, especially for, smaller artists and stuff like that. Because, I've been reading articles and stuff like that about how the city is really trying to push, you know, because of like Corona, the city is trying to reinvigorate New York City like as a cultural hub. So with that, there's a bunch of just like new opportunities for anybody to kind of do like street performances and just get more support by the city, which I don't think I mean, I wasn't in New York City prior to when Corona really happened and stuff like that. So I don't know too well, but it seems like when artists, or like when performing outside or in a venue, when those things become more normalized again, smaller artists will be able to really get out there and will be able to have like more of a chance of like breaking through, I
but see,
feel
I
like.
think with that, like just the whole mindset of like it feels to me, right, like as an audience member more so than an artist, like artists love asking for support but don't really like go and sort of give back to like their audience. I mean, they making music is more for you than it is for the audience,
Yeah, in
right?
most cases, yeah.
So
But
like you're asking for support, but like how are you giving back?
what would you like to see again? I know you mentioned that thing. I mean,
Yeah.
like uh, like just like more music, like maybe even just like one-off tracks. Like instead of waiting 2 years for an album or something.
Yeah. I mean, more of a, I guess, more context. You know what I mean? That would be more of a scalable thing, like just more context of the actual artist instead of just like putting out actual music. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. So just like a little more.
More vlogs. David's just asking. David just wants vlogs.
Or just like, hey, listen,
He's-
here was my songwriting process. Like, here's what I went through.
You know
Here's
what?
what this thing meant for whatever. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Just something like that.
That's amazing, David. Thank you. I mean, that's fantastic. That's really great to hear. As an artist, I got to tell you, I've been nervous that I've been overdoing that. Like, I
Mhm.
get nervous. Like, I think a lot of artists are on there going like, "Oh man, this is stupid." A lot of artists shun social media because they're like, there's like a thing where they feel like, oh no, I'm like either too cool or there's like an integrity breach there. Like,
Right.
I don't need that. Like, some of them
Yeah.
act like that. But and a lot of my, I've seen a lot of my friends be very timid about it. Like they don't want to put themselves out there. Where I know for me, I'm just like, oh man, people don't want all this stuff, man.
Hmm.
Just dial it back, man. You're putting. So
Yeah.
it's nice to hear that that is actually something that fans might be looking for.
no, definitely
No, I mean,
these days
listen.
it's like
If you like an artist, you want to see as much of the artist's personality as possible.
mhm.
You know what I mean? Like that's what I think, at least. I mean,
No,
I
no,
don't,
yeah, that's definitely with like YouTube and stuff. That's definitely, I mean, especially for younger people and stuff like that. I feel like yeah, definitely for sure. That's what people want to see. Just like
yeah.
more
And
personality
I don't
from the
even
people that they
I don't
listen
even
to.
think it's like an ego thing so much. So it's just like artists inherently are perfectionists. You know what I mean? They overvalue what they perceive quality to be versus just like putting things out. You know what I mean?
That is the most genius thing. That's the most genius bit of advice I've gotten in years. So you're gonna see. I was thinking about. I was hovering around the idea of a Twitch TV thing
Yeah.
Yeah, we just sure not. Yeah.
and I thought like, why am I gonna do that? That's exactly everything I just said. I was like, you know what? Like, who do you think you are? Like, who do you think you? Like, you think you're that interesting that you need it? So hearing that like people might enjoy that, I'm certainly gonna give it a shot, man.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, because
Just gotta keep trying. You know what I mean? See what sticks, because you really never know unless you like keep pumping out things. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Any other artists listening to this right now, I mean, I would, heed his advice, give it a shot, maybe put some more out there. Any of my friends are listening to this. If you're just like think you're too cool for Instagram or any of the social media stuff, maybe pop on and say hi to some people. Maybe it could help.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Awesome. Well, like, I mean, is there like
I don't think
anything?
I've ever gone on a rant like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Why are you so passionate today, David?
I
Jeez.
had too much coffee.
Yeah.
Or I haven't had enough coffee, I
I
guess.
just realized that they could totally see like the
Oh,
bear in the back.
that's why too.
We just had this giant can of bear in the back all this time. But yeah, I mean, is there like anything that you want to like like end off with? Like any like words of advice or like, yeah,
Never
like
give up,
Promo
never quit.
stuff.
Never give up. That's lame, but just never quit. Like if that's it. Just if you keep at it and just be patient. I think of all the actors that in movies that you've never seen them young in a movie. Like sometimes people just show up in a movie and they're like, I'm like Tommy Lee Jones or
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know if you're familiar with that actor, but
yeah, of course.
You can't I don't remember him young in a single movie. Like he worked and did theater and did everything, did whatever he had to do to get, so it might not happen right away, but if you're just patient and work at it and just keep practicing, stay positive and don't let them get you down. Don't focus on what other people are doing too much. Really just don't let the jealousy and envy, because social media, as cool as we're saying it can create a lot of those elements in your head. Like you have to really be a little thick-skinned.
Yep.
New York City will do that to you quick, but a lot of people listening might not be out there. So, you know, you got to just maintain, like, don't let them get you down. Like, it's going to be all right and you're going to make it. Just keep at it.
Awesome, great advice.
100%.
Yeah. So thank you guys for watching this episode of Sounds Like NYC News. Like,
You just
subscribe.
did it again.
Oh my god. Well, though that's gonna stay in because at the end.
Whatever.
So thank you guys for watching this episode of Sounds Like NYC. That's it. Only that. And like, subscribe, and follow us for more of these wonderful interviews.